I want to do a thought experiment. So in Gaza, this is a highly militarized control area. So Israel controls their electricity, their water. They have naval blockades. They have satellite reconnaissance, naval blockades, listening, monitoring systems all over Gaza. You have Mossad agents probably going around. They also control the Sinai Peninsula. They're probably working in coalition with Egypt to destroy the tunnels on the other side as well. Okay. And again, you have everything controlled. You couldn't even sneak a GoPro camera through that entry or those checkpoints, if you will, right? And those checkpoints historically before this, October 7th, were open 4 days a week, right? So Wednesday they were closed, Friday was Shabbat, and people would be frisked, patted down. It was brutal, right? Hence the apartheid. So let me ask you a theoretical question. Someone that works supply chain and logistics, I want you to come with me on this journey, okay? Let's say I wanted to theoretically ship a pallet full of 9mm bullets, right? So on one pallet, average standard pallet, you could probably fit about 100 to 108 cases of 9mm bullets, each case carrying 1,000 rounds. So if you multiply that by 108, you're looking at 108,000 rounds. Okay, now if I wanted to ship that or take that somewhere, because that's pretty fucking heavy, you're looking at about 600-700 pounds, you would need a forklift or a loading dock, and you need to put it on a truck of some sort, right? Now you put it on the truck in a 40-foot flatbed, you could fit about maybe 11 or 12 pallets. You're looking at about something between 1.2 to 1.5 million rounds, give or take, how you package it and all that other stuff. Okay, so that's here in the U.S., right? That's with highways and freight companies and warehouse, and of course you get all the hazmat permits and all this sorts of stuff, right? But they do this all the time, these sorts of hazmat material movements, if you will. Right now, if you're in an area that's again has a very serious security blockade, I mean, think about just going through an airport here in the United States, right? You can't even bring your cologne, for God's sakes. You can't bring shit. So now let's go back to Gaza. My question is, if I'm using a small caliber round, like a 9mm, in a country here, the United States, where it's not difficult, but it requires equipment and movement and monitoring, right? How would you theoretically, if you're Hamas, sneak that in to Gaza for years? And now we're not just talking about 9mm rounds, right? We're talking about what they carry, AK-47, so they probably use 7.62, which is a much heavier round, which means that pallets probably carries a lot less rounds. They're using a lot of those. They're using obviously RPGs, and they're using probably 40mm and 120mm, rockets and grenades, and the rockets are much larger as well, and they're made of steel. And of course, if you're going through a border, you have a truck, you have dogs, you have metal detectors, very advanced ones probably. You have all sorts of shit if you're Israel, right? They have one of the best intelligence on earth. I mean, for God's sakes, they wiped out all of Hezbollah's leadership with, cell phones with rigged explosives, essentially. They knew where all these fucking guys were. They took out all of Iran's top commanders just right now. They knew exactly where they were. They knew where they were. They knew where they were. And for years, Hamas has been somehow smuggling in just millions upon millions of rounds of ammunition and weapons and rockets. And I understand the tunnel part, but then that goes to another question about the tunnel. The tunnel, Gaza is what, 27 square miles up and down, 7 miles wide. So that's about, just think of it like from, I'm gonna go wild guess here, Miami Beach to like Cape Canaveral, maybe, perhaps, something like that, right? Probably a little bit smaller than that. So not too hard to monitor. That's a interesting question, isn't it? Like, how do they sneak all that in through those tunnels? Especially satellite imagery or Israel. They're making those fucking tunnels. They knew they were making those goddamn tunnels. Of course they knew. 100% they knew. How do they know that Iran has a fucking nuclear bomb? I mean, if they're hiding a fucking nuclear bomb, where's which they do. I mean, they do have uranium, and they've been enriching it, right? Now, do I think they have a delivery system for a bomb, like an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile? I don't think so, right? I don't think they're quite there yet, even though they tend to be very industrious in their when it comes to their weapons manufacturing, if you will, right? Any manufacturing. They've always been, again, very industrious civilization. But my question, again, is very simple. Sneaking in ammunition is not like sneaking in narcotics, right? Narcotics that come in pills. You can hide it within food and cargo and all kinds of stuff, right? It seems it's much harder to smuggle heavy ass. Imagine one pallet could weigh 600 pounds. How do you sneak? Now, you're not to pull it in pallets, but you're not going to be sneaking in little boxes. You're going to be mulling people there forever doing that. So, how do they do it? How did Israel miss that for years? Being in open war. Matter of fact, having a war, the same group of people, every 3 years. But they just have massive caches of ammunition. Massive caches of ammunition with a heavy militarized border. So if anybody out there works, I guess, I don't know, supply chain logistics, has done freight forwarding or has a military background, I want to know the answer. I want to know your thoughts. What do you guys think about that? Let me know.